What's up, you dirtbags? Luke and I are in studio with a huge recurring guest. But before we introduce him, Luke, how we doing, man?
Good, Luke. I thought you were going to forget about me for a second. How are you?
No, absolutely not. I'm doing great. We're gulping down the whiskey. Love to see it.
It's my first drink in like 3 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Snow?
No, snow has something to do with it. Yeah, I remember going down a little rabbit hole. I can maybe tell that story later, but I almost polished off a bottle of Crown one night, and I wasn't even that drunk, and Riley was like, Luke, and I was like, hey, it's fucking great stuff, right? So I'm taking a little break.
Yeah, that's fair. You polish it off. You got to at least pretend that you're feeling it.
I know. I wasn't that smart. I should have, though.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, I mean, we're back in studio. We've been hitting these podcasts hard, and we figured what better situation to have the man back on the podcast, Mr. Innovative. We've got James Doyle in studio.
The record breaker. James, what's up, brother? Oh, man. Luke's just sucking up over here.
Here we go. Dude, what's up, James?
How you doing?
For those who can't see,
how are
he's throwing an innovative sweatshirt on, which, James, I don't think I've gotten mine yet. Just throwing that out there. But, Luke, it looks good.
Thanks, man.
Gonna make you wait on that one for a little bit.
Well, fair enough. I did the same to you. So,
yeah.
So, James, back in studio. I mean, a lot has happened since obviously our last podcast. For those who don't know, James is on the Dirtbags this summer, I believe, is diving into the real business struggles. That was before you were a dad.
Yeah, man. A little bit changed since then.
But the kid wasn't here yet.
Valid point.
Wait, what was that, Luke?
He was a dad, but the kid wasn't here yet. He was brewing in the oven.
I mean, however you want to look at it, I guess.
Not. I don't know. But yes, James, welcome. Welcome. If I remember, Luke and I were talking, your podcast was the one that like shot up with so many records. Like the downloads per day just kept getting more and more and more to where you broke. I think you were the first one to break 1,000 downloads.
Yeah.
Perfect. Not sure why.
People like to hear about the business struggles, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. We go through it.
I will double down on that, though. It's not just the topic that we were talking about. I recently, obviously, we finished up your website, James, and we've been sharing it. We love sharing, what we do with our partners and everything. And every time you reshare that, I get like another 6 or 7 phone calls from people. They're like, hey man, like saw what you did for Innovative, looks pretty sick. Like, could you do something like that with my business? So thank you for, the reputation you've built up, but also just like referring some of these guys over to us. But, going back to the podcast and why it had success, I don't think it was all about the topic. I think a lot of people respect you and the business you've built, but also your outlook on a lot of things. So,
yeah, man,
it's an interesting conversation too, because you might see it as like, why do they think that? Because there's so many more things to do. And I think, a lot of people can get the wrong idea of just thinking everyone has it made where they're at.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know. And likewise, thank you guys for doing such a great job. It was a kind of seamless transaction from start to finish. I know it took a little while on my end, getting some content and getting back kind of in the midst of, Riley, coming into the world and trying to adapt to the mom and dad life and, back and forth. But it was awesome. I mean, everybody on the team, just from getting the literature to the, the pictures, to the videos, to, getting the rights to our Google account, to just kind of getting everything together. I mean, I learned a lot, and it's been, it's definitely been an eye-opening thing to see how much actually comes out of it, because we're already starting to see some results from it. I had somebody call today, specifically, I know just in the last couple of weeks, we've been, hitting the Google thing hard. We did the website and, jumped on the phase 1 or phase 2. I forget exactly what we're doing, but, running the SEO stuff for Google and really trying to boost the the visualization and being recognized on Google and reviews and stuff like that. And we got one today. So that was cool. The first thing they said was, I found you on Google. And first time in 6 years, and I'm not going to fill your head, but it's the first time in 6 years I've ever had somebody. And I normally ask, like, especially if it's a bigger project or something, I'm like, hey, did somebody refer you? Did you see us through our website, Facebook, and where did you find us? And this lady was just like, yeah, I'm looking for some, year-round property maintenance, and I found you guys on Google. I was like, well, that's awesome, and she's moving from out of town, so it showed me 100%. She searched landscapers in Torrington, in the Torrington area, somebody that could provide property maintenance, and we came up. So I think with time it's going to grow big too. So I'm excited for the future, and keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're just a couple months into it, which a good rule of thumb for SEO, which I always tell people, is give it 6 months. That's really when you can start seeing some of the results in the traffic. But yeah, the goal is to do it long term. Just like anything in business, you want to stack it up like a perfect brick each and every day, every single day. And so it's more of that consistency. It's the habit of doing good things. And that's what we just, help contractors with, is build good marketing habits. So, but yeah, man,
for sure.
I kind of want to, transition a little bit because so much has changed. So much has happened. Riley comes into the world. You're a dad. Snow season's upon us. How has this winter been different than previous winters, and what have you learned so far?
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, not that any time to become a parent is, from what I've been told from, new parents, seasoned veterans that have had kids that are on multiple kids, a lot of the advice that we've heard, Colleen and I, there's no right time to bring a child into this world, being ready for the schedule changes, finances, the whole 9 yards. There's never the right time. But I think Riley came at kind of the right time for me. Just because it was we got past the spring rush, we got past the heat of summer. We got into, we had our fall rush, not to say that we're not busy in the fall, but we had our fall rush and everything kind of, trying to jam pack everything in, get ready for snow. But it allowed me to really kind of hunker down. Colleen was obviously on some, maternity leave, and it allowed us to kind of get into that winter time where now, like, I'm taking him, she has a full weekend on a month. So I take him during the, during that Saturday and Sunday. My mother-in-law and my sister help out, the couple of days a week that Colleen works. Her schedule as a nurse, it's alternating all over the place. So we've got childcare lined up. So bringing him in and transitioning into winter work, we obviously slow down a little bit in the winter. We don't do as many projects, unless of course we have a mild winter like what we have going on right now. But, kind of trying to balance out and figure it out. I think it worked out great timing for me, because once I get into like the height of spring rush, I'm going to kind of I think I'm going to be seasoned, right? So like once I get into April, I'm going to be like, all right, I'm 6 months in, like I've got this whole, wake up in the morning, get him going, help Colleen, whatever she asks me to do, and kind of move on from there. And it's been good, fortunately, but unfortunately, we kind of, like I was just saying, we kind of have a mild winter right now. So it's allowing us to be a little bit easier, as far as kind of stress as far as time frame stuff goes. So like I'm not really stressed to get out of the house at 5:30 or 6 or 6:30 on the dot. Colleen leaves for work at 6:30, so I get him up, get him ready for my mother-in-law to get there. If I'm a half an hour late to the shop, it's not a big deal. Whereas in the springtime, it's definitely going to be a little bit harder for me. But I think by that time we'll be in good shape. Yeah, I mean that's kind of transitioning into the winter has been a little bit tough. We got a lot of stuff ready. We transitioned our everything from leaves over to snow, and now there's no snow. It's been a very mild winter. We got out of a lot of contract work, meaning seasonal based accounts for snow work, just because over the last couple of years we kind of not got our asses handed to us, but some of those seasonal contracts, they won't sign with you if you put a snow cap on it, or if you tell them you want to have a seasonal average of 35 to 40 inches, they don't want to sign with you. They want to make sure that you're doing the work. They don't want to pay any extra. So I tried to steer away from that. And as we got bigger and grew a little bit bigger, we were able to take on some of those bigger accounts, the per push stuff that, the first 2 years I couldn't take on because we didn't have a loader. We didn't have skid loaders to push stuff back and have snowblower attachments. So now we jumped in, and we used to be, I've been telling a lot of guys like that ask me, we used to be 70-30%. So like we used to be 30% per push, 70% contract. So we were kind of sitting on like a nice blanket or a nice comfort zone rather of having money coming in, whether it snows or not. But then it started hurting when we had those winters we were getting 30, 40 inches. Like our average season, I think, is like a 40-inch season, but a lot of the stuff has been crazy sleet and rain and just weird winters, weird different precipitation types where you can't really plan for it. So I started switching the last couple of years and going a little bit more towards the per push. That way, when we get snow, we can bill some pretty significant amounts. And this year it was the year that I got rid of. We only have like 3 or 4 seasonal accounts, which covers our overhead still, payroll, fuel, all that stuff, notes that we have on some equipment and trucks. And, but it's been very mild. So there's nothing really for the guys to do. So we've been doing some, small projects, some firewood sales, getting ready for next year's stuff, maintenance. But there's nothing additional other than that seasonal snow maintenance coming in. So it's been pretty tough. But I'm just trying to keep the guys going so I can retain them. So I don't have to put them on unemployment. I don't have to say, hey, go find something else. So it's been a little bit tough this winter, but we're halfway through. We got some projects that we opened up right now that we're doing, and just while there's no snow on the ground and just keeping our main guys going. And yeah, so that's kind of the way that we've been doing it the last couple of weeks here, but just moving forward, I guess.
That was us like 3 years ago. Jeremy, he called me after I think he talked to you here, and it was the same fucking thing. I think we're normally like 50 to 60 inches for an average. I think we saw like 22 inches that season.
Wow.
That sucked. So yeah, it's not a fun boat to be in.
We're at 3 inches so far this year, man. That's it. I mean,
Wow.
it's nothing, dude. It's bad.
3 inches is a lot.
It is.
It is.
Feels like 6 at 90 miles an hour. Can we say that?
Yeah.
Oh,
we
yeah.
can say that.
I was
All
just
right.
gonna say, Luke and I were trying to record some ad snippets for one of our sponsors before this. I was like, we should
It
just snip
sucked.
that and send that to them.
Yeah.
Shout out though to Mitchell from the ground up. It's a badass cup. I haven't ran this one yet, and I found it in the cabinet before I left.
There you go.
And James, that's on us, but we never asked. What are you sipping on?
Oh, the old infamous Captain and Coke, the signature drink.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Love that.
Little
Yeah.
UV Blue and Diet Mountain Dew.
Oof.
That's what you're having?
No, that's like a 7th grade special.
Oh, dude, that must have been like a Mankato thing. So James and I probably have never had that.
We used to do that. We used to do the ghetto code red. We called it. We used to mix Mountain Dew and Kool-Aid. It was great.
Come on.
I'm telling you.
Did you put like the powder in and everything, or just
No, just 2 at a time.
It was out of
Okay,
the
I
tub.
gotcha.
Hawaiian fruit punch and Mountain Dew. It's the same thing.
The ghetto
I
Kool-Aid.
gotcha.
That's funny. What's fun, James, this podcast, you and I were on the phone the other day and we were talking about employees basically. And we should have recorded that because that was a really good conversation, but you had some really good points. So I kind of want to try to like divulge that conversation again.
Yeah.
I had obviously this season I had to let go of a couple employees and we've added a lot more. And, from what you and I talked about, just trying to balance your guys, balance how everyone operates, setting standards for guys, keeping kind of that boss. If your friends work for you, it's tough to be their boss. Right. And I've seen that too, to
100%.
where, guys want to be your friends. And there's nothing wrong with that. But as an employer, you almost have to kind of keep your distance in order to, keep things going, right? Because it is tough to be your guys' friends. And when they mess up, you have to tell them. When we were talking about Ryan's podcast with Taylor, and he was like, if you mess up, I'm going to bark at you. And then after that, if you hold the grudge, that's on you. I've already forgot about it.
Yep.
So that was a really fun conversation. And I think you and we had a lot of the same feelings on it.
Yeah.
But
so I'm going to jump in. So let's unpack it a little bit because I wasn't there. So talk a little bit more.
Luke, sorry, you weren't there.
Yeah. Let me just dive into the conversation here. So, dive in a little bit more. Like, what did you guys come up with? Because Luke, you called me right after. You were on fire. You're like, we got to get James back on the podcast. Like, what was it that fired you guys up so much?
I think it's in these conversations, it's really fun to have the conversation that is with somebody that's going through the same thing or might have gone through the same thing. But basically the conversation entailed, we talked about employee personalities, bringing on new guys. And if those new guys blow your current guys out of the water, how do you adjust to that? How do you adjust to guys staying stagnant, not wanting to improve? And if they don't want to improve, but you consider them your friend, how do you go about like talking to them about it? Was kind of a very, very broad, breakdown of the conversation. James, give me something.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, I think a lot of it, that kind of just got me fired up is we're trying to, like I was telling Luke, like there's definitely a huge, there's a huge area, at least in my industry and like in our market here, like in the grounds maintenance side of things, to where I want to grow that side of the business, right? It's 50% of the business. And it's just hard to find good qualified guys that want to do it. And all things considered, the other side of the business too, the construction aspect of it, hardscapes, the excavation, all the stuff we're doing with that. So, I called Luke and I was like, listen, I got a guy that just called me. I was like, he's been reaching out to me a couple times. He called me, he's from New Jersey, right? He reached out to me and he's like, hey, my name's such and such. First he shoots me a message on Instagram. And he's like, my name's so-and-so. Here's my, here's my info. Here's a little, quick gist of like what my experience is. I've been following you for a couple of years and I work for a big company down here. And I'm not liking what I'm doing. I do my own stuff on the side. I'm looking for a change. Like, I'm almost like, this is too good to be true. Kid's got a, great job. He does his own stuff on the side. He understands the owner operator, mentality. He's responsible. He's like driven. So I'm talking to him. I was like, yeah, man. I was like, here's my number. I was like, shoot me a text sometime. We could talk, off Instagram DM. And so immediately, shoots me a text. Hey, man, I just wanted to, shoot you a text. So there's like the consistency was just like there. I was like, all right, yeah. I was like, let's touch base one day next week. I'm in the middle of a job or something. Like, give me a call. We'll set up a time. Give me a call. We could talk a little bit more and get some more info from you. Really see what you're thinking. Calls me Monday morning. He's like, hey, such and such. So the moral of the story is this guy I don't even know. He's calling me, and there's a level of consistency. Wants to work, wants to be there, wants to contribute and be a part of what we have going on. And I'm just like thinking, I'm like, there's no way that this can be true. So I called Luke and I'm like, what do you think about this? Right? Like, I think we have I want to grow the, both sides of the business, and I lay it all out for him, just like Luke told me. He's like, you got to talk to this guy, tell him, hey, this is, I might not be able to pay you $40 an hour or whatever for an arbitrary number. I might be able to pay you 25, but here's where I want to go with this. And if you come and you prove you're all, like, you'll grow with the business and I'll invest it back into you. So I'm talking to him, here's the backside of it, Luke. After I talked to him again, and I pretty much laid it all out for him. I'm like, listen, we're not a massive business. Like, we still have, we have a paper time, a time card rack with paper time cards hanging in the shop. We're a disaster at some weeks. Some months are better than others, but we're a growing business that has a lot of work. We have a very good reputation in our area, and I think beyond our area. And we don't have the manpower or the means to do it, both in the field and on the back end, meaning help personnel, a lot of the office work. We have an accountant and bookkeeper, but like, there's still, like, going back to our old podcast, I'm still trying to search whether or not we bring a guy in, or I start delegating and bringing in guys like this that can take the, objectives that I have set for me to do and maybe delegate it to him, somebody that's willing to jump in, that understands it and wants to grow with a business and be taken care of and be a part of something that's growing, and have the, what's the word I'm looking for? The responsibility to be able to say, hey, I'm taking care of this. Go do what you have to do. I can't do what you're doing. Go do that, go do that, and I'll take care of it. So I was like, I don't know. It's a huge risk. And like, I've always hired friends, and that's, I think it's a trust thing. I don't know. I just have a lot of guys that work for and with us that I've always known. They've been a part of a friend group. They started with me and they're still with me. or they worked somewhere else and they weren't happy, but they're, you know, we went to high school together. There's just those situations of there's a connection. We have 2 guys that we have that I hired off the street that, you know, came to me looking for a job. You know, so, but it's a little bit more realistic. They're from town. So it was just one of those situations where I was like, I don't really know what to do. I was like, it sounds like a great idea, but do I hire this guy? He comes here and he's a disaster. He flips machines and you know what I mean? He puts us out of business. Or do I come here and he allows me to do more office work, meet with clients, run some machines, whatever, and we grow that side of the business. So that's kind of what really got us fired up, and we went off on a bunch of tangents and got into like
it was like an hour
existing employees that aren't performing, new employees that are outperforming. I mean, we just went back and forth. And again, everybody we have is great. Everybody has their flaws, just like I do. But we're trying as hard as we can this year to really just make everything run seamlessly. I want the guys to be happy. I want the, you know, first and foremost, customers to be happy, the work to be getting done efficiently, effectively, profitable, and guys to be happy. Like that's my goal for this year, is to just eliminate callbacks. And, you know, kind of tying into your guys' thing that I heard, you know, your New Year's goals, like we want consistency too. Like that's my thing for this year, is just consistency. So like when I'm trying to invest into these guys, like I'm sitting here looking at, you know, our employee handbook we generated this year. We're a sizable company and we don't have an employee handbook until this year. So like consistency, like investing in these guys, it's of all aspects. It's not just giving them an extra dollar here and there when they do good, or an extra bonus. Like I want to give them the tools that they need. Like here's your 2023 holiday pay schedule for paid holidays off. Here's everything that you need to know about everything that I'm going to offer to you. In return, here's what our expectations are. Here's the company's goals, and here's my goals. And I want your goals personally and, you know, employment wise to align with this. That way you succeed when the company succeeds, not just the company succeeds and you don't get taken care of, or you succeed and the company's here left, James is still in the ditch shoveling, right? And that's kind of where I'm at with hiring on the right guys, maybe not just friends anymore, hiring on guys that not necessarily stealing people from, you know, like what Will Schuler was talking about. You know, he used to just go to guys' job sites and fucking take them off a job site. But dude, I'm at a point like in the last 6 months where I'm ready to start doing that. And I don't think that's the right approach, but at least for me. But, you know, that's kind of where we left off with it. And, you know, to kind of leave on like my, you know, spot of it before I let Luke jump in, I started reading this book 2 weeks ago. Well, not reading, but audiobooks. I'm a big audiobook and podcast guy, but it's called Who Not How. And I strongly recommend both you guys listen to it, and anybody else that's listening. It's about delegation, and it's about finding, when you wake up in the morning and say, how are we going to do this job? And it's not how anymore. It's who is going to help me do this job, whether it's going to get materials, whether it's, you know, not just from an entrepreneur standpoint, but in your personal life. There's just so many different things from that aspect of being able to delegate that I severely suffer from. I cannot delegate from a quality control standpoint. Like I'm just, it's a flaw that I have. But it's a huge eye-opening. Like there's just so many different components of it. They dive really, really deep into it. It's awesome. I mean, it's helped me a lot. And like, even just in the last week and a half, like just coming in and I'm like, I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to let Jesse do that, or I'm going to let Zach do that. Like, why am I going to micromanage him changing chipper blades? Or why am I going to micromanage this guy running a triaxle? I could go meet with the accountant. He can't do that, right? Mm-hmm. It's easier to put somebody with a CDL or somebody that knows how to run an excavator in those two pieces of things, and me go to the accountants, because guess what? They can't do that. I could drive the truck and run the excavator, but they can't do the stuff that I can. They can't do the certain things that are in my head for the role that I'm holding. So that's my big thing this year is delegation. If I had to pick one word over consistency, is delegation. But again, that all ties into this whole like employee thing of just, I think what everybody's had a lot of issues with over the last couple of years is finding the good guys, not hiring just friends, not hiring people that don't have the same outlook and the same goals and aspirations. But just hitting it hard. But I mean, Luke, what do you think? Do you remember anything else that kind of really stood out?
Dude, again, like you said, we went off on like an hour tangent. There was a lot.
We went through like 6 rabbit holes.
We did. And they were really good rabbit holes. But one thing that just kind of stuck with me when we were talking about this new guy that reached out to you, I think the coolest thing that you did was you instantly pull the negatives. You're like, hey, this is probably going to happen. This could end up happening here. You didn't sell the guy on a pipe dream. Where I know a lot of these companies right now, they are looking for people, so they will sell them that pipe dream. Then they come aboard, and then they're like, this isn't anything of what you told me it would be like.
Yeah.
Right.
So hats off to you on that end. But I mean, it is kind of a dog eat dog world right now with guys. It is really tough to find good guys. And honestly, I think a lot of the small companies have a better opportunity that are trying to get in front of these people and, kind of show them, this is what we're going to do. This is what we want to do. Help us get there. And I will make sure that you're taken care of, right? If you help the business is going to help you.
Yeah.
100%. And a lot more companies are doing that now. And it's really cool to see. But again, you see these companies that want to leave these bigger municipalities or these bigger companies that have been around forever because they want to take that step into hopefully growing faster with a newer company.
Yeah, I mean, I got a guy, and again, the internet's a far place that you don't think things get to. And, I've got a guy that left a bigger company, for what reasons, I don't know, but he's here with us. He's happy. Financially, I think he's doing a little bit better. He's going after his goals. He's chasing his things, doing his stuff in his personal life he likes to do. I hope. I know he listens to podcasts. Not sure if he listens to ours, but anything that I'm on.
Well,
but
yeah, hope he is.
For all things respectable. I'm so glad he's on, and it's been a huge thing. He saved us a lot of money as far as repairs and stuff that we can keep in house, certain things like that. His CDL, all that kind of stuff. So it's been a huge blessing having guys on that excel in different areas. Because you can't have 5 A-type guys in a room, meaning you can't have 5 guys on a job site that want to run an excavator. It doesn't work.
Correct.
Yeah. And James, going back to your point about delegating, that's a big point that I think a lot of business owners are working on, but also Derek Sivers, he's an author. He actually started CD Baby, but Anything You Want is a book that he wrote. And I read that this summer because I was big about delegating. But what he says is delegate, but don't abdicate. And basically what that means is delegate, but don't give up your power to run your vision, to own your business. And a lot of times that happens when we get too far into delegating and we're not even involved in sometimes the strategy. So not that you would get to that point, but I think for people listening, delegating is super important, but you can go too far and over delegate where you're not even involved and your team doesn't respect you. And then all of a sudden you kind of get pushed out of the way.
Right. Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, and again, I think I'm kind of at that point, and I've talked to a couple of people about it where they're like, you got to trust your gut. You got to trust your instinct. But I respect my guys. I think I'm at a point where there's a lot of comfort with people that are on staff. And again, it's no disrespect. I mean, I was in the same boat. I worked for somebody and I was super comfortable. But at the end of the day, I think that there needs to be a level of grounding where there's an expectation that has to get completed each week, each month, each quarter, each year, or we can't continue to grow. We can't continue to do, production bonuses. And I try to incentivize as much as possible, whether that's, company truck, equipment to do stuff at your own house if you need it. We're not going out and doing side businesses, but if you need stuff, you need to take a truck home, you need to mow your house, whatever you need to do. Year-end bonuses, stuff like that. When the company wins, we win. Like we do a $5,000 job, we do it in an hour instead of 2. I'm going to throw everybody a $50 bill, even if it's something. It's better than nothing. And again, I've talked to different guys where it's like cash incentivizing is like not always the best thing, but at the end of the day, I don't want to say money is the root of all evil. The love of money is the root of all evil over anything, but helping guys out, like money makes the world go around. They're not here every day because they like me. They're here because
That's a great point.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's here for a reason, and I respect them. They give up 10 hours a day to be with me. They're with me more than they're with their significant others. And I've heard that talked about in the shop. We're here more than we're with our wives. It's just like, and I respect that. Like, I don't take that for granted. And I think I need to like drill that in at some points at times. Like, there's always a door, right? And I say that very loosely, non-disrespectfully, but we have a goal, and I just want everybody. I try to treat it as like a family-based thing. because they are, these guys are helping me achieve my goals, and I want to, help them achieve theirs. But at the end of the day, I think bringing in, foreign faces that aren't from around here, that see what we're doing, that have the same vision, that want to grow, I think it's going to significantly help long term. And I'm excited to have this kid come up. We're hammering out some days to do kind of like a working interview. We hired 2 guys yesterday that are local, but I don't know them. They came as referral based, and I laid down the guidelines just because I was a little bit more comfortable not laying down the kind of basic stuff. I was like, listen, this is what it is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If you're in, you're in. Here's your new hire packet. We're ready.
Yeah.
We'll do some quick tests and stuff like that, just because we need help. And that's kind of where we left it. But I think we're gearing up for a good season. I think it's going to be good. We implemented some softwares and stuff to kind of help on the back end with the estimating and budgeting and stuff like that. So I'm super stoked about that. We signed up with Synced Up, which is kind of like a CRM that's based up for landscape construction, which is also geared towards maintenance. So it's going to help us. I can't grow anymore where we're at with everything going through my head. Like I need some sense of organization to get it to the field, to Austin, to whoever's running like a crew in real time, to understand changes and stuff like that. So I think that it's going to be a good year. Again, with the help, you get that stuff dialed in, it's going to be good. So
yeah, I actually have a call with Synced Up after you talked with them. I think, in a couple days here, but they've got a really good product, and they're getting more into the
super
dirt world side of things.
Dude, super responsive. They have their customer service is second to none. Like I had to reschedule at 3:30 today because I wasn't going to be off the job. I texted Weston. I'm like, hey, I need to reschedule. Can you send me Chris's number? Have him reach out to me. Literally text, updated link in case I didn't get the email, and a text. Sent me an email with a follow-up and a welcome message, the whole 9 yards. Like, hey, pick from the calendar. Let me know. Like, just super, super easy and like tentative. Yeah, no, they're awesome dudes. So
yeah,
I think it'll be good.
And thank you for sponsoring this podcast, Synced Up. Appreciate it. Just had to get that ad read in. No, I'm just kidding. Nice. No, I'm kidding. But I wanted to touch on this. Luke, I know you can attest to this. James, backing up a little bit to what you're talking about with your team. And also, we've all been there. We feel like everything's going well. We're very comfortable, which feels like a good thing. But as a business owner, entrepreneur, and even as an individual and an employee, you want to have some sort of discomfort, right? Because that means you're growing, you're learning something where you can't be too comfortable. So in my opinion, I think that's always a good thing, not only for your employees, but for you as the business owner, to have that fresh blood come in and like raise the bar back up. And whether that's new goals, new visions, different things that different quality standards, and just bringing in some new people. Sometimes that helps to see like, oh, we do have more potential than what we're currently operating at.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
There's
100%.
There's a topic that you talked about, or you'd mentioned, cash incentives. I want to dive into that a little bit here. So I am going to get away from cash incentives on projects. When you said, yeah, if we do a job in a faster amount of time, yep, we'll flip them $50. From what I've seen, I used to do that same thing. Like if you guys finish a job, like I have no problem giving you some of the, the profits of the project anymore. That kind of fucked me in a way. And I think it kind of brought a bad mentality. And I'm at the forefront of that. I was the one that kind of created that, but it almost became an expectation of these guys to where if they completed a job, hands are out like this, like, hey, we got your job done. Where's our cash? Well, I'm like, well, I'm paying you to do the job. You're
Sure.
paid hourly to do this project. You don't get a cash bonus every time. And I think that became kind of a cancer. I think that kind of became, like I said, an expectation. So where I'm going to get away with that, I'll do like a year end. Like, hey guys, if we had a stellar year, hell yeah, I'm going to give you, whatever I can to show my appreciation. But I am done with the project to project cash incentives.
Yeah. So, I mean, from a flip side, like, and I know you worked for somebody too, it was the same thing for me. Like, and I get it. There's hard years, but like, year after year, we get a Christmas bonus. And then all of a sudden 1 year we didn't get one. And I was like, I gotta go Christmas shopping.
Where is it?
Where's my Christmas bonus?
Yeah.
And it was, so I get it 100%. I mean, and again, I'm not giving out cash bonuses every month or every week by any means, but there's been a couple times where we do, a sizable project and I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. We just knocked 5 days off that. And now we're moving on. that customer's happy, they're satisfied, they tipped us, which doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes. And then we now we're getting to another job sooner. That person's stoked we're getting there faster. Absolutely. It gives them a little bit of incentive. So I see the pluses and the minuses. 100%. I agree with that. That, it hasn't happened here, but I definitely can attest to that and agree with it, that it's definitely a worry.
It's a double-edged sword.
Luke, would you say that irregular cash would help that, of like it not even related to the project, but like letting that stuff simmer down, and then maybe it's like September 18th, just like a random day, you just flip them something like that. So it's not attached to getting the job done at a certain speed, or is it totally just, getting rid of it all in all?
I shouldn't say I don't want to get rid of it all in all, but I want the expectation to be gone of, hey, we completed this project. Where's our share? Right.
I see. That's fair. Yeah.
You don't get a share. Like, I'm sorry, but I'm paying you an hourly. We're over by a week. So you got a week extra on this project that I didn't get. I'm not going to give you part of that. Like, and that's not being a greedy business owner. That is like, hey, my bottom line, right? Like, James, you had mentioned, your guys are great, but James is still in a ditch digging, right? No, I'm done doing that. And, I don't mean to be sour about it, but yeah, this last year opened my eyes to that, to where I do think, you have to incentivize your guys and you want to take care of your guys. But from the employee standpoint, that cannot be expected. Even Christmas bonuses, I feel like those cannot be expected. They're appreciated, but they cannot be expected. Yeah. And I think that has to kind of change.
So to tie into that, our graphic design guy that does all of our branding and stuff, like all the stickers and decals and stuff on trucks and machines, he himself came out and did the 310. And we were talking about it, and he's like, yeah, man. He was like, we had a killer year. He goes, I forget what we got on the topic of, but he's like, yeah, he goes, one of my guys didn't get a Christmas bonus. Like, I pulled him aside and I was like, listen, man, here's your performance levels. And I feel that you did not perform to the minimum standards of what I would require. Like, I understand something takes you an extra 20 minutes to be a little bit more attentive to detail. But when you're taking 4 hours to do something that I do in 20 minutes after being here for 2 years, like, we gotta ship up or shape out. Like, I don't feel that you deserve the bonus. He goes, I could see it. I knocked them down, but I think that it's worth it, because if I just constantly keep giving, they do a little bit less. They start turning that dial down because they think that it's just going to come natural. And to an extent, like my worry, a lot of it obviously has to do with age, and I commend, again, I hate to drop Will on this podcast every single 5 minutes, but he's a perfect example of a kid that's, a guy that's young, and he's got guys double his age working for him. Right. Correct. And so, like, I have a couple guys that are older, 15, 20 years older than me as well. And it's hard because you get looked at as like, you want to say something to them. And for me, I'm just like, I worry every day about offending everybody. Friendship comes after business, right?
Yep. My
friendship doesn't pay their paycheck on Friday, and that's their expectation. So I'm starting to realize it more and more as the years go by. And I think that having long talks and handing over this employee handbook with what my expectations are and kind of what they're going to get from me in return, it just kind of lays down the law of what is expected. And Garrett Williams told me when I talked to him, we shot the shit a little bit last year, and he's like, it all starts from the top. Like, you have to lead by example, and you have to uphold the standard that you expect them to work by. Something along those lines. And it's hard, man. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy. Me and 2 guys, it's a little bit of a different story. When you got 7 or 8 guys that are coming in every day or more,
it's a different story.
They're constantly looking at you, right? So it's just, I don't know. It's tough for sure.
That can definitely wear a guy down. That was another topic that Luke and I had kind of talked about the other day, just about burnout, and that can really burn a guy out just by that, just in that sense.
Yep.
But what'll pick you right back up is when you're going out to your customer's lawn and you see that little stand that says for UPS, USPS, FedEx, and Innovative Lawn and Landscape. That was the coolest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah,
that was cool.
That was awesome. No, it was cool. So the ironic part was, I look at it, I'm like, no shit. I'm like, and
That's
again,
awesome.
I've graduated a little bit from the sidewalk division of our snow removal fleet, or operation rather. So I don't really see it, but I was driving through the other day and I'm looking and just making sure I didn't have to call in any guys to do sidewalks, just because we had a little cold snap after some warm spell. So I was like, all right, check for refreeze. I'm looking and I'm like, what the hell is that? So I saw it and I was like, I'm gonna grab me some Frosted Flakes. So I grabbed some Frosted Flakes. I go to the bank literally 2 hours later, and this girl's like, woman, she's like, you guys do the fairways, right? Or, that's the name of the condo association. I was like, yeah, we've done it for 3 years now, or 4 years, whatever. She's like, you guys do such a great job. She's like, I have a stand outside at my house. Anytime you want to, I shit you not. I was like, no way. I was like, I just took some Frosted Flakes on my way down here. And she's like, yeah, no, you guys do such a great job. We're so happy. I was like, really? I was like, because I feel like we constantly always get complaints everywhere we go. And it's just like, I'm like, it's just the nature of the work. Like, it's hard to make everybody happy. Just like, no, you guys do a great job. Everybody's attentive to detail. And of course, sometimes we miss stuff, but we try our hardest. So,
and
I
James,
think most people see that.
It factors in perfectly with our last podcast with Jeremy, because Jeremy talked about nobody ever says thank you in the snow removal business. It's always like, if he even said, he's like, if you get an email of somebody saying thank you, you better frame that sucker. So
Absolutely.
It almost made that even better when I saw it, because I'm like, damn, they went the extra mile. I'm sure James drove by and they were just loading up his backpack with pop and Frosted Flakes and shit.
Robbing her out of Frosted Flakes.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely
funny. No, you definitely.
Yeah, no, it's a good feeling.
No, that is fun. Fuck, I had a really good train of thought, but I just forgot about it. Speaking of Will Schuler, not to plug him again on this podcast, but kind of going back into what we had talked about with the employees. I don't know. Hopefully our listeners have LinkedIn at this point, but he took his main guys to Cancun.
Dude, incredible.
That is the coolest. I know I went off on a tangent about they can expect to be given things, but hey, no, that's awesome. Fucking cool. I'm sure none of those guys expected that, and I'm sure they really appreciated that.
Yeah. Or they expected it and they're like, every day working harder, getting ready to go. We're like, hey, this week we're going to Cancun.
Year we're going to Vegas or some shit.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. I mean, the fact that he has the ability to do that and chooses to do that over something else, dude, I commend the kid. I mean, again, I'm not going to plug him 100 times here, but it's
but it is very cool.
I look, guys like that, man, I look up to. I mean, I commend him, and that's awesome that that he could take that money and do something else with it, right? I mean, I think that I think it goes a long way with employee appreciation. I mean, and those guys and girls really must do tenfold to be able to be kind of taken like that and say, hey, I'm going to take you guys on this. Let's go do this.
Yeah.
So they must pull their weight. They exceed the expectations, and in turn the reward comes, right?
I would love to read his handbook, because I'm sure
dialed.
Dude, I don't know, man. That W900 or T800 high hood, I don't know. Dude, that low bed, man. Oh, black.
What is it? The Willpower Transport with the Willpower X in the back. Yeah, I was like, dude, you cocksucker. That's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's a nice setup for sure.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's really the thought that goes into what, the Cancun trip, like you're talking about. It's not that the cost of the trip, it's the fact that they had no idea, and they're like, wow, you could have spent this on something else. But it's the thought of what you're doing for your guys and your girls that work for you too. It's just going above and beyond and trying to make it work. But, to Luke's point, not making it feel like a consistent thing, and then it feels like a handout, but it should be a hand up.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Definitely. No, definitely. And I think that kind of ties into the conversation of guys with these bigger companies, the ones where they do see the volumes that they are doing, and maybe, again, I don't want to sound like everybody should get something, right? You should never expect something, but these companies that are doing 30 million plus with 25% margins, you probably should give something to your guys as an owner standpoint, right? Obviously that's not an expectation, but you should in order to keep them, right? Again, from what I've talked about, is a double-edged sword, because employees can't expect it, and employers aren't, they don't have to. but I feel like in this day and age, you should if you can.
Dude, I mean, I to a point of like not doing it versus like you just said, doing it even at, you know, those larger scales. The company we're subbing for and kind of the route that we're looking to go more, where we changed into since we've last talked. My contact there, you know, the assistant super that I work underneath that gives us all of our scheduled work. He's like, listen, he goes, it's a great company. I mean, 40 years, they have, you know, what is it, 300 to 500 employees or something like that, across many states here in New England, all the way down to West Virginia to Maine. And dude, every employee in the company gets a Christmas bonus. Like,
Yeah.
he's like they care about their guys. They're very family based, but you know, even the people that aren't family, it's not like they're just giving, you know, selected Christmas bonuses out to guys that, you know, are family. They're giving it out to everybody. I mean, he's like, it's a huge thing. People see that and appreciate it and respect it that work within. I think it does go a long way for sure.
There's a company that does it here in Fargo, and everybody knows him for it, right?
Glacier Snow.
I don't know. I've never actually heard a Glacier gives out Christmas.
Do you get a Christmas bonus? No, we finish in March.
Yeah, we finished in March. You don't get a fucking Christmas bonus. There's a company here in Fargo, and they're big municipality, do a lot of roads, do a lot of underground. And you know, come right around, it's Thanksgiving every year is usually when they call it quits. And he just knows like anything past here is going to be more of a headache, not even worth my time. He gives 14 grand to every single one of his guys. And he's known for that. Like, if you want to work and you want to work hard, you know, at the end of the season, you're going to get rewarded. But I mean, they're working Monday through Saturday. Some are working half days, Sundays. So they're running really hard, but then everybody gets laid off in the wintertime.
Yeah.
You know,
and
so
I mean, like in that scenario, like people know what they're signing up for, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, I'm down for that. That sounds great. Like Monday to Saturday, count me in. But then there's other benefits that come with it. And I was just on a call today, you know, the railroad company, and he says my guys average 80 to 90 hours a week, but they know that, and they know coming in, they're going to make bank, they're going to make a ton of money, but you know, they're going to work for it. And so I think it's just going into that and like knowing that at the beginning really helps, because yeah, if you're doing Monday to Saturday, but then, you know, you have that, you know, kind of the end of the year, the holiday season, it's like a huge benefit. You get the bonus. I mean, if that's what you want, like go for it.
Mm-hmm. There was a year and this is the same company. And I remember it was like 2012 to where it was a really, really slow year in this area. And he does a lot of infrastructure, and there wasn't a lot of infrastructure funding through the state that year. And I think everybody got like $7 grand. And there was new guys that obviously came on, and some people were so mad because they came on thinking that everybody gets 14 grand in every year. And that kind of ties into what I'm saying. It can't be expected, right? It all depends on your year. It all depends on what the business makes. Because if the business isn't making money, you're not making money.
100%.
But yeah, I am pro Christmas bonus. I am pro incentivizing your employees.
He's the Grinch.
But there is a double-edged sword to it, to where if you give too much, it becomes one of these, like, where's my take? You know, where's my portion? So I think there's a fine line. Circling back to our 15 minutes ago conversation, I just wanted to end that out so people don't think I'm a fucking asshole.
Just like the Grinch, you know, you get $8 an hour. If you don't like it, the door's that way.
Yeah. Riley calls me the Scrooge of employment.
Oh, I love it. Good stuff. Well, James, you got, not to wrap it up here, but you've got a big mansion that you're staying in Vegas in March. Are you pretty stoked for that?
Yeah, we've only went once, but it's awesome. It's a good time. All of us that went together, we're gonna try to do, you know, like I heard Ryan from Rockstruck. She's like, yeah, I've been going since I was a kid, you know, and that's what we're trying to do. We're like all of us buddies that are all together. Some of us work together. Some of us are all contractors in the same town. There's a couple guys that are meeting us out there from different states. It's gonna be a good time. We're trying to make it like a tradition. You know, every 3 years, whatever. We're gonna be excited, or it's gonna be a good time. We're excited for it. Just gearing up. It's only little over a month away. I got my educational session for the importance of growing an online presence for small to medium-sized contractors.
Dude,
Bingo.
I didn't even know that
Right?
title. Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
golden. Nailed it.
I'm ready,
Luke's
man.
speaking in it.
I'm
doesn't
ready.
get
We've
those titles.
we've got a
Yep.
storm brewing too. Tuesday night, Luke and I have been talking about bellying up somewhere at a blackjack table and running the tables dry. So if you want in on that,
We're
let
on
us
it.
know.
We're on it. Yeah. We got to get you to the cat party too. Luke, you better get those tickets because a lot of the cat dealers pulled out back in 2020 because of COVID. So we tried to sneak into the John Deere party, but they didn't let us in.
I think I have John Deere tickets and cat tickets. I got 2 of them, so I'll be there.
Well, perfect. We're going to the cat.
Fuck yeah.
For sure.
Fuck yeah. But isn't there a concert? One of the guys from RDO here told me there's Dustin Lynch is playing one night.
Yeah, they John Deere goes all out with it. I'm not sure if it's at that or Cat or Volvo or who, but they there was something similar to that the last go around too. I forget exactly what it was, but yeah, it was something big, and all the John Deere guys were talking about it. My John Deere sales guy here that I haven't bought anything from, he was like, "Yeah, man, I'll try to get you in," and I'm like, "No, you won't.
No, you won't.
Yeah. Don't worry
Like,
about it.
He's a good.
You're just saying that
dude.
to be nice.
He's a good dude. He brought me a t-shirt out for Riley back in the fall. So
That's
it's
fun.
cool.
That's nice.
That is cool.
Yeah, but we're excited, man. I can't wait to go. I think Steelers gonna have a cool booth set up, and probably try to run a machine for a day or something. And yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Luke Pepper's going, our video guy from here. He's doing some shooting for them. He got hooked up with them, and he's doing a lot of their marketing. And I did all the GoPro footage last go around, and I brought it all to him. Like, hey, can you make a sweet montage with all this footage? And he put together a pretty cool thing. And so he's going to be out there this year, which is cool. So he's going to be able to get a lot of show footage and stuff. It's just it's awesome seeing everything kind of summarized that you can't go and see all that kind of video. So it'll be cool to see it. But yeah, we're stoked.
Yeah, I'm stoked to meet Luke too. He does a lot with clients up there, and so him and I have talked quite frequently, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Like we're starting to get connected now with a lot of our clients that are now his and vice versa. But yeah, it'll be fun because Brandon, shout out to Brandon, our podcast producer. We're flying him out there too, and he's going to take a video of everything, and so I'm sure him and Luke will get to meet up too.
Yeah, no, he's a good dude, man. He does a great job, and I think he's got a good business plan, and he's putting together some people, and he's gonna grow this thing, man. There's a huge need in our area, and I think across the board for anybody that wants to hire a guy like him on to kind of broadcast what they're doing in the industry. So.
Definitely. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's good shit.
For Con Expo, but. All right, boys. Well, I'm out of whiskey, so I might have to go get another one since I'm broken my 3-week streak. So
yeah, watch out. Well, James, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for jumping back on. Cool. Thanks for running it back with us. Can't wait to meet up here in actually a couple months, not even. So gonna do it big in Vegas and hit her hard.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's always good to chat with you guys and go over the struggles. I can't wait to see what the title of this one's going to be.
No handouts.
Yeah,
no handouts. Good, I like that. No handouts. Show up and do your job.
Yeah, Luke, it's not solidified yet. I mean, it was a good suggestion. We'll see if it sticks here.
Deal. Well, there's 3 people that vote. It's you, me, and Brandon. So if Brandon's on my side, I'm feeling good.
There we go. All right, boys. Well, that's a wrap for this podcast. James, thanks again. You're the man. You're crushing it. You're a great dad, great husband. We appreciate you as just a great friend and business leader. Thanks for being a dirtbag just like us, and see you in March.
Yes, sir. Thanks, boys.